Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. I'm Dad, this is my den. You can probably see some long boxes in the background there. I'm going through the old comic book collection. I'm bagging, I'm boarding, I'm picking out some things I want to review. But today, I'm not going to review something that I've owned for a long time or something from the Silver Age or Bronze Age. Today I want to do a review of Josh Howard's T-Bird and Throttle, published in 2020 by Alterna Comics. You can pick these up on the Alterna Comics website. I was new to Josh Howard's work. I have now read the 4-issue limited series, T-Bird and Throttle, the initial one. There's a follow-up coming, and man, am I impressed. This is a hell of a good comic book. It's extremely well plotted. It is definitely written. This is not 4 issues, episodic issues of a comic book. This is a long story. It's beautifully put together. It's got some really rough stuff in it. It has some pretty biting social commentary as well, but still remains a superhero book. It has a lot of heart. I mean, like I said, there's some emotionally tough stuff in this because the characters are very well, I was going to say very well drawn, which in a comic book just sounds like drawn, but the characters are very well done, very well written. It's a hell of a book. So let's sort of shift over. I guess it might help if I actually showed the comic book. Here we have T-Bird and Throttle number 1, 80 pages. It's a hell of a good value. So we're going to shift to the other view so we can flip through these comics a little bit, and hopefully I can do this without giving any of the story away. So let's... Right. So I know there's a better way to do this, and I'm going to find it one of these days. But for right now, folks, this is it. So what do we got here? We got a 4-issue limited series. Very well drawn, very well written. It is called The Rise and Fall of a Hero, and that is exactly what it's about. So we start off getting a little bit of the origin, and the origin of the character is sprinkled throughout in flashbacks. The information is parsed out a little at a time. This is to give you an idea of some of the art here. We have a man, Mitch, whose superhero identity is T-Bird. He has a wife. He has a daughter. He was an astronaut, obviously in the military at one point. And he gets his powers after a journey into space. So this is set in Centennial City, and in general, it is set, it's not sort of a, look, this is the real world, and we're introducing superheroes into it. It's, you can see from the images of Centennial City, it's this very sort of almost retro-futuristic world with some very real bits of our modern times put into it in terms of the social commentary. There's not just a space program in this world. We have, spaceships regularly going to and around the moon. We have a moon that is inhabited by moon men who are hostile. And that plays into T-Bird's origin story. We kind of first really meet him at this convention. He has had a tragedy in his life. Something very bad happened. It has derailed his career as a superhero, and he's trying to make a comeback. And so this sort of weaves together comic book conventions with actual superheroes. Here we see a character called Justice Superior, And so Mitch is finally visited by this very attractive woman. And he thinks she just wants an autograph. But in fact, she's going to pull him back into the space program that he was with. Here we get this is the ship that he was on when tragedy initially struck and he gained his powers. And again, I'm trying not to give everything away because I really want people to read this book. Here we see him meeting with his old boss. And folks, if that ain't a play on Ed Straker, I don't know what it is. A little bit of UFO in there for you, if you're a fan of the Jerry Anderson worlds. So, essentially, he gains these powers after an incident on the moon, accompanied by his best friend, Jack, who's also an astronaut. And, you know, you kind of get this rise of this hero who is enjoying his powers, but there are problems at home with his wife, which leads to an incident, which leads to him discovering that he does not have complete control over the thing that gives him his powers. Now let's see if I can fast forward to that. So this object in his chest, he picks up on the moon after he has apparently been killed. And it brings him back, and it makes him extremely powerful. But he does not have complete control over it. So what is it? Where does it come from? That's one of the mysteries in this story. Again, I don't want to show off a lot of pages because I really do want people to read the book. In episode 2, Enemies on Every Side, we meet some of the, they're not exactly, but sort of government-controlled superheroes in this world. It's a world where superheroes are heavily, heavily regulated. It is a world in which we have more than a little cancel culture going on. So we get some commentary on that. Here's an early one where they're choosing what costume this new superhero is going to wear before finally coming up with the finale. We learn about his partner, who is a mixed martial arts fighter who becomes known as Throttle. And so he's sent on another mission by his former employers. And here we have his comrades on this second mission. He doesn't completely trust him. And that turns out to be a wise move, because there's a whole lot going on. And part of his story involves his daughter, Emily, who's starting high school and who runs into some real problems because a comic book has been released that purports to tell the true story of T-Bird and paints him as a really horrible man. And this really shakes his daughter, shakes his relationship with her. So he's under a lot of pressure. All of these different little plots, they weave together in the story until we finally get the resolution in issue 4. Issue 3, Vengeance of the Damned. The art's great. The art's fantastic. And again, I'm not going to offer up a whole lot of spoilers here, but issue 4, The Last Stand. I will say this, it had to me, a very satisfying ending, but it also sets up future adventures, which are forthcoming. I just can't say enough about this work. Josh Howard has produced a really, really, really fantastic comic book here. It is, I mean, it's thoughtful, and it's emotional, and it's visceral, and it's exciting, and there's a good mystery running through it as you put it together. And what I love also is that, it gives you some real doubts about various characters. You don't know, are you gonna get a happy ending? Are you gonna get a kind of happy, kind of sad ending? Are you going to find out some things you really don't want to find out? I just found that he really got me interested in caring about these characters very quickly. And, yeah. So, I'll stop it there because, again, I really want people to go out and buy this. It is really worth reading. T-Bird and Throttle by Josh Howard, published in 2020 by Alterna Comics. Fantastic art, fantastic story, great characterizations, and yes, it does have social commentary. I think it's very just social commentary, and I know that'll bother some people. We talk about keeping politics out of things, and in reality, there's always going to be some amount of politics in things because politics are part of everyday life, not just in terms of the political wrangling and maneuvering of politicians, which is unfortunately part of every life, but when we're talking about worldview and we're talking about what we value, what we think is right, what we think is wrong, that's gonna be involved in almost any story, I would think, and especially in comic books. I think it's handled very well here. Again, it could upset some people. It probably will. But I found what he said to be extremely fair and extremely well said. So we'll leave it at that. T-Bird and Throttle. Great big thumbs up from Dad on this one. I highly suggest it for people. It's just a fantastic comic book, and very happy that I got it. So we'll leave it there. I think I've now said that 3 times. Can you tell I don't work off of a script? T-Bird and Throttle, Josh Howard, Alterna Comics. Go to their website. You can find it there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're enjoying these various little pop culture reviews I'm doing, or the tortoise videos, maybe you want to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, especially if you've read the book and what you thought of it. Did you see it the same way I did? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'd love to hear from you. Any questions, I'd love to answer them for you. So until next time, be kind to one another if you can, please. Have an awesome day, and join me for another video in Dad's Den of Pop Culture.